seconds sana.
Okay, now welcome to the Fort Jesus Mombasa. This fort was built by the Portuguese as a military base. 1593 is around 431 years. And this was a one piece of rock, 2.5 acre. They cut out of a stone shape of a Jesus on the cross. They called for Jesus because the Portuguese region were Roman Catholic, so they carved this stone like a Jesus on the cross, and they called for Jesus.
Why did they carve the stone?
They cut out of it. It's a big rock, 2.5 acres. There is 4,000 people, 3 years to cut the stone shape of a Jesus on the cross. So they have a head, hands, body, and the two legs under the right arm. Put on the, take the Portuguese translation.
Come with me to a building that has existed since 1593 and is one of the most outstanding and well-preserved examples of the 16th Portuguese military fortification and a landmark in the history of this type of construction. Hamujambo, Karibu Fort Jesus Mombasa. The fort's layout and form reflect the Renaissance ideal that perfects the proportions and geometric harmony to be found in the human body. This property covers an area of 2.36 hectares and includes the fort's moat and immediate surroundings. So since we are guiding ourselves, we decided to start with the first watch tower, and it's an elevated area which we believe that the military used to observe their enemies from a distance. But just before we walked there, I spotted this beautiful curio shop with beautiful paintings and artifacts. And for a minute, I guess I wanted to go there and check. But we decided to proceed to the first area. And this is where the missiles were released. As you can see, it's pointing into the ocean. Now, taking you back to history, they used to travel by water. And this is how they could throw the bombs and whatever it is they were throwing at their enemies. Muluweni, how beautiful is this sea? And I had just checked out the watchtower. There's nothing really much to see, but they also had different spots of observing the enemies, as you can see. Military decided to move to the next place, but before then we were just hanging around and checking out this curio shop was just too beautiful. But we decided to walk into this little narrow path, and I was just looking at the history that is painted on the windows, the photos of Mombasa and many other rooms that we had there, perhaps where the military used to keep their equipment or just spend the night there. And then something struck me on this particular door, and I noticed that UNICEF have maybe an office there. I'm not sure what exactly that was. We didn't have access to that, but we then proceeded to the different parts of the fort. And as you can see, I'm just walking around and just in awe of how beautiful, how big this place is, and how well thought out it was in terms of the engineering and the brains that went into this. And then I am so scared of heights. That's why I was climbing the staircase. Like, I am not just sure of what to do. But then I cheered myself on and we moved to the next spot. This was really a little scary, and for a minute I wanted to go out, but then I decided to proceed, and we go inside. It's like a cave, but it's not. But just look at the surrounding for a moment. It's just too beautiful, and the view is fantastic. We went in there, and you have to mind your head. There were people inside there who had a guide and was just explaining to them what happened in this room. but this is one of the inner chambers where the soldiers uh, kept uh, their artifacts, their machinery. But then we went on, and it leads you outside to another exit, and then I went back to the circle, kind of where we started. And in this part, we saw this really beautiful area that we wanted to show you. And trust you me, there's a hall just down where the mesh is, and it has more rooms in there. We're gonna go there in a moment. But as you can see, we have the staircase, and then we walk round and round, and we have different spots where the missiles could be thrown, and all the spots are actually guiding you through to the ocean. Most of them are not functional at this time, obviously, but they have been preserved so that you can be able to see what the size of that metallic stone was and just how it used to be thrown. We also had some parts under renovation. That's why you see the iron sheets in some areas have no access at the moment because of the renovation work going on there. But let's proceed to our next spot. So we decided to go just down where I was showing you and where was guarded by the cage. So at this point, I was a little bit too scared, and I was second guessing whether I should go there or not. But again, we came here to explore, and we left no stone unturned. So we went down to this part. So as we proceeded, I noted that on my right, there's a little entrance there. But before that, look at that cute little view. Just fantastic. But I didn't know what was in there. I'm not sure if I should go in or not. But it was really dark. But we decided to check it from a distance. After that, we proceeded down and down, and we were able to see more spots where the Portuguese were operating from. We had another place for watching their enemies and also communicating, but then we also saw this little holes where they kind of stored their instruments and all that. And we kept going inside and looking at every room and every chamber. Honestly, I think there were like 50 different compartments just within this section, which is mind-blowing. And we left that place and we decided to proceed to the next area, and we are going to show you that in a bit. So this was where the Omanis stayed, and this was the Omanis house. Let's get right inside. When you first take your turn, you notice a really beautiful old boat. I'm not sure if this is a boat or a canoe, but you notice this really old water, what do we call it? Let's call it a boat. You notice this boat, and it has been preserved for all that time. I believe the Omanis used it in navigating the waters, or perhaps just for excavation. And now we recreation, sorry. And now we see they had this little benches where they used to chill and relax. But we were more focused on just seeing the fort again from this angle. It is just fantastic. And there's a little notice there just giving you detail about the Omani house, and you can pause for a second and read. And we get right into the house. Of course, there is a photo of our president, but we also have the different leaders within the Omani Empire, and their photos and pictures and the years with which they operated are all put there. And something really struck me. These people existed in the 13s, which is just crazy to think about. We are in 2024, and someone was alive since the year. There's 1888, and I mean it's just crazy. It's 1287, but there's also there are Omani weapons, as you can see, and yeah. There's a little bit of history to each of these weapons, but we were not able to capture that in detail. But I challenge you to visit Fort Jesus and you'll be able to get a detailed explanation. But let's get into the room and see. So this is an Omani soldier. It's a statue that has been modeled, but that's how they used to dress. The reflection was a little bit too much here, but we managed to get a glimpse of how they look like. And then we have the Omani women and their beautiful cultural outfit. Again, these are all mannequins, they are not real women preserved. We have their jewelry. Some of this jewelry are still being sold in the old town Mombasa, and you can actually purchase some like we did. We have their desk, and you see it there. The TV is obviously not from the old, but I think it has been just added there. At this point, you're just going to see more of the house and how it looked like, the different, sultans that existed, that ruled over the Fort Jesus. But a little bit of also the British that we see in the photo just below there. And we had the mosques. I mean, this is just beautiful, and I think nothing much has changed. Most of the mosques still look like they look in these pictures, which is mind blowing. We also see the Baha Fort and the Sultan's Palace. And then they had also another window or and now we head over to the next spot, and this was just beautiful. It was the Omani's well, and it was deep. I think it's 23 feet deep, if I'm not wrong, which was also a little bit scary to just look at. And I was like, wow. So how did they even make this happen? How did they dig this back in the day? But these people had a lot of skill, and I tend to believe that today's engineering is borrowing a lot from what already existed in the past without the technology and the machinery. You can have a quick read, and meanwhile, as you read this, please be sure to subscribe to this channel, hit the post notification bell, and be sure to always tell a friend to tell a friend. And we moved from the well, and we were just looking at the fort, looking at the environment, and there are just different departments, there are different sections. I mean, you cannot exhaust this in a matter of minutes. It took us hours to actually walk across. It was 2.5 hours to walk across Fort Jesus and to just have a look at everything. So I was just working inside and seeing, and at this point we were leaving and exiting, but it was just so beautiful to see how the Portuguese really architectured the Fort Jesus. A lot of thought went to it, and this building has stood for years and years, and it has been really well preserved. I mean, the technology was not there back then, but whatever they did, they carved this stone and made it such a huge fort. And outside the Fort Jesus, there's a lot of things that are sold that you can actually purchase. We have the traditional, deras, their dresses, and this tour guide was very willing to take us around, but we decided to grab some lunch. As you can see, this is called chicken chapati. You can try it when you go to Coast. And I'm not going to give you a spoiler as to whether it's good or bad, but you should definitely try it. So this is one of the oldest hotels within Mombasa's old town, just right next to Fort. And if you're hungry, they have a lot of different cuisines that you can try. I was going for milkshake, and you can see here.
Didn't recommend. Didn't recommend.
Let me try it. Try my milkshake.
What about the milkshake?
How is it?
I don't know. I don't like it.
It's nice. I love it. Chicken chapati is here.
You?
I can no way. A bit take a bigger chunk.
It's hot. But it's sweet. Unity.
It's for you. I want you to try it when you are able. Take two. Is it good?
Good. Try it.
Because it's eggs. What am I at? How do you eat chicken and eggs?
Their products.
I can't.